Most of the time I really don't like to do streams this late, especially knowing that it's 10:30 at night. Central time here in the great city of Central Louisiana. The day after the day after my birthday, but again, appreciate you guys tuning on in. This is, of course, the Southern Sports Scene. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Make sure you all do us a favor. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, post a new video, or post a new short here on the Southern Sports Scene. Everybody do us a favor, like I also said, and going over to our friends over at Frostbuddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com, use the promo code SSS15. Get yourself 15% off. Also, going to our friends at Chike Nutrition with 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of sugar. You can get the best possible start to your fitness journey using our friends at Chike Nutrition to get started and try to achieve all of your fitness goals. So again, guys, going over to our friends at ChikeNutrition.com, use that promo code SSS15. And make sure you also go on over and visit our friends over use the link in the description below to get yourself 15% off of your first purchase. Okay. Guys, a lot to talk about tonight. And today I want us to focus in because we have reached to the point where we now have to get into NFL draft talks. And there is going to be a lot of hot topic when it comes to the NFL draft and who we think is the best possible, prospect for each of your favorite teams. I want to go over my first mock draft of the season. Obviously, this is subject to change, so this is not yet the fully finished product. So we still have a lot to discuss and a lot that we're going to probably clean up and possibly even tweak over the next several weeks, man. We got a lot that we're going to end up having to change over the course of the remainder of the season. But again, guys, do me a favor. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live. I'm going to run by. I'm going to go grab a quick break real fast. Till then, make sure you hit us up.
Guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Frostbuddy. It is drinkware engineered to keep your beverages exactly how you want them. Whether you're heading out for an adventure or just powering through your day, Frostbuddy's flagship product, the Universal Buddy, replaces the need for multiple can coolers by fitting virtually every 12-ounce and 16-ounce can bottle you drink, sodas and seltzers to coffee and sparkling water, all in a single versatile design. Constructed with high-quality double-walled stainless steel and thoughtful features like a flexible silicone lid and a tapered shape that fits most cup holders, Frostbuddy keeps drinks cold for 12 hours and hot for up to 6 hours. So you get consistent temperature control, whether it's an iced drink on a hot afternoon or a hot coffee on the drive to work. Built to last, field-tested for durability, and backed by a 30-day return policy, Frostbuddy makes everyday moments from tailgates and beach days to backyard cookouts and commutes more enjoyable. Going over and click the link below and use promo code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase when you visit our friends over at frostbuddy.com and when you use that promo code SSS15. Are you tired of spending upwards of $7 to $8 on coffees that are full of sugar and high in fat? Well, look no further than Chike Nutrition, the brand redefining what coffee can do for your day. Chike Nutrition combines the rich, familiar taste of real coffee with 20 grams of high-quality protein and the energy of 2 shots of espresso, giving you both fuel and function in every scoop. Available in a variety of crave-worthy flavors like mocha, caramel, vanilla, and many more, Chike delivers smooth, cafe-style iced coffee that mixes instantly with water or your favorite milk, with no clunky blender or complicated prep needed. Each serving is designed to be low in sugar, packed with protein, and loaded with real espresso so that you can get a sustained energy that helps power your morning, workout, or busy afternoon without the crash that comes from sugary coffee drinks. Whether you're looking for better nutrition in your coffee routine or a smarter way to stay energized and full longer, Chike makes it simple. Scoop, shake, sip, and enjoy. If you want to take advantage of the new year and get in the best shape of your life, click the link below and get yourself 10% off of your first order over at ChikeNutrition.com.
All right. So again, that's where you need to go. Let's go over this. It's NFL draft time. So you know things are about to go down. I am about to be very, very vocal on where I stand with this draft that I have in my hand right now. You are going to disagree with me, trust me. Believe me, that's what's going to happen. But you know what? That's part of the business. And to be honest with you guys, most of what I've heard from a lot of NFL draft media is absolutely horrible. So let's get into this real fast. The Oakland Raiders, or not the Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be selecting first. You guys have already seen my mock draft, but might as well go over it again because it's never a problem if I have to repeat sometimes what I have to say because it can be forgotten at times. But my number one overall pick, Klint Kubiak, is about to get his quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years at least and get Fernando Mendoza. Is it the perfect system that he's going to be in? I have no idea. Do I see shades of Josh Allen with Fernando Mendoza? At times. Do I think that he is a lot more clutch than Josh Allen? You damn right. Go look at this run. And I know that majority of the games that Indiana played, they were blowouts. Like Cignetti said, we don't just beat top 25 teams, we beat the dog shit out of top 25 teams. His words, not mine. Excuse my French, by the way. I'm trying to be better at not really cussing as much as I would like to. But that is the ultimate truth when it comes to Indiana football. Fernando Mendoza raised the bar for Indiana quarterbacks to come through. Curtis Rourke set the standard, and then Fernando Mendoza took that and took it to a whole new level. He utilized the guys that were around him and made them each better playmakers. He came up with clutch plays when it mattered most. I think his mechanics are really good. I think he's going to be a very solid, very, very, very good player at this next level. I think he does need to work on his deep ball at times. But at the end of it all, man, the Raiders are about to get the best quarterback in this draft class and probably the only really good quarterback in this draft class. The one that I think is going to have the most success out of all the quarterbacks that we have. And to be honest, this is a relatively weak quarterback class. The last 2 years have been pretty bad. Not even close to what we got in 2024 with, 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round or something? The need for the quarterback has gone down significantly over the last 2 years. And we're not going to see a draft class like we saw in 2024 for a very long time. And I know people are going to look at next year and they're going to say, well, it's Lenore Sellers. Well, it's Trinidad Chambliss. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. Guys, that doesn't matter. It's not going to get to the level where we're going to have 6 quarterbacks taken in, I believe, the first 12 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember when this was a huge thing. This was incredible seeing how many quarterbacks were taken within the first, 6 quarterbacks taken within the first 12 picks. 6 in the first 12. The next quarterback, by the way, after that first round, I don't think was picked until middle of the 4th round, I want to say. I'm looking. No, it wasn't picked until the 5th round. Oh, and by the way, people were talking about him potentially being a number 1 pick in Spencer Rattler. Just saying. But anyways, Fernando Mendoza is going number 1 overall to Las Vegas. Clint Kubiak is about to get a fresh start for Las Vegas after the disaster of the Pete Carroll era. And to be honest with you, I don't even want to blame Pete Carroll. I don't think he was put in the best position. He just wasn't. So I'm expecting Clint Kubiak to be your OC at the moment right now. Geno Smith's about to be walking out the door in Vegas pretty soon. I mean, 35 years old, man. You got to move on. It is time to move on. He got traded for a reason. And last year was the last season of, or I should say, this upcoming year is the last of his contract extension, I believe. I'm sorry. He's now contractually tied to Vegas until the 27th season, through the 27th season. So the Raiders really spent a lot of money for a 35-year-old quarterback that turned out to be nothing. Was it all his fault again? No. I think he was surrounded by bad management. Bottom line, Vegas is about to get their quarterback of the future. You're going to have to rely on him. But I think that Mendoza is going to get a lot of work with a guy like Kubiak. They're going to learn how to be in an NFL offense, learn how to know the basic install of an NFL offense, and work with a veteran that has been around the game for over a decade. Number 2 overall pick belongs to the New York Jets. And I've heard people talking about, they need Arvell Reese. They need Arvell Reese. They need Arvell Reese. Guys, you need an offensive freaking line. And I know that you're going into 2026 without really an answer at quarterback. I get that. You need an offensive lineman. Who are you going to get in this NFL draft class that's worth the first-round pick at quarterback? I don't think you're getting anybody. You're not. Because this draft class, again, not good. Ty Simpson, high upside, but guys, that Ty Simpson's not worth a first-round pick. That ain't happening. It's not happening. So you are about to enter another year with Aaron Glenn as your head coach. And I like Coach Glenn. I really do. But what was the biggest issue last year? You're in rebuild mode. You traded Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. Your 2 guys that you had as pretty much franchise cornerstones. 2 guys that you had combined since 2019. Quentin Williams was a captain for you and was a 4-time Pro Bowler, and you traded him to Dallas. Now, I wouldn't say he necessarily had a Pro Bowl type season, but again, the fact of the matter is that you decided to go into rebuild mode. You got Mozzie Smith out of it, a former first-round pick that has not turned out well in Dallas. He's been hurt. Who did you get for Sauce Gardner? You got A.D. Mitchell. Again, a guy that's had to deal with injury most of the time. And I feel like he's had the jitters ever since he's gotten to the NFL too. But for right now, you have an offensive lineman. You got one last year. Guys, I think you got to get another one. It's either that or you go get a linebacker in Arbel Reese. I've heard people talking about it. Do I think ultimately is it going to happen? Yes. You are in a rebuild year. You have 4 top 50 picks, and I believe you had 2 or 3 in the first round. This is your opportunity to get dudes and surround your franchise right now with young guys that can make an impact. I don't know how you do it, but we'll see. Do you go get Francis Mauigoa and pair him back up with his brother who's currently with the Jets? Do you stick with your quarterback class right now that you have that contains the following: Brady Cook, Hendon Hooker, and Tyrod Taylor? Probably so. Up until probably next year, unless you decide to trade one of them. Tyrod Taylor's 36. Hendon Hooker and Brady Cook, they're career backups, guys. You and I both know that, and you and I aren't dumb enough to believe that. Hendon Hooker can't stay on a roster. Brady Cook, unfortunately, ain't a good quarterback. There's a reason why he's a turnover-prone machine and he can't stay in the pocket. You need another offensive lineman, I would say. I think that this draft class is so deep on the defensive side of the ball that you can go get studs over the next 4 picks, that knowing that you have 4 top 50 picks. I think you go get another offensive lineman, and I think you bolster this offensive line group that was really bad at times this year. Really bad. So I think you go get Francis Mauigoa. If not, you go with the safe pick and you need to go get a defensive star and you get Arbel Reese. But right now, I have Francis Mauigoa going to New York. The 3rd overall pick belongs to the Arizona Cardinals. And guys, they need a veteran presence. Or, well, not even really a veteran presence. They need a young guy on the defensive side of the ball. They need either an edge, safety, or defensive lineman right now. It was messy. They are trying to move on from Kyler Murray. The Kyler Murray experiment has been an absolute dumpster fire at times. He shows off high potential, and then he just breaks your heart at times. Mike LaFleur is in a very interesting position in his first year as a head coach. Plenty of experience at the offensive coordinator position, and you're going to go into 2026 with a shaky start, because I don't think that Kyler Murray is going to be on your roster in 2026. That's why I think you'll hit free agency and you'll go get dudes. you're going to lose a lot of guys. To free agency. And depending on what happens, man, it's scary, to be completely honest with you. It's very scary to believe where Arizona is at right now. But again, it's one of two things. It's either Francis Mauigoa or Arvell Reese. It depends on what the Jets do. Whoever the Jets decide to pick between the two, the alternate is going to be for Arizona. I say they get Arvell Reese. I think they bolster up in a linebacker in their front seven, which has been pretty bad at times. DB position has been much better. I think they're still going to be fine in that area of the field, but you got to get healthy. And unfortunately, Mike LaFleur is about to go into a situation where the front office has been a mess, and you now have a gutted offense. So you would like to see them have a bit more of an identity offensively. If Marvin Harrison can stay healthy, he'd be really, really good. He can't stay on the field, though, man. Hopefully, he is able to get back onto the field very soon and maybe get himself back into a Pro Bowl type of level. We'll see, man. We'll see. The Tennessee Titans, picking 4th, are going to get Ruben Bain. Oh, man. You could go in a variety of different ways at this point. Cam Ward needs dudes to throw the football to. He needs an offensive line so he's not throwing freaking ducks all the time because of how bad the protection is up front. You need to go get a formidable edge presence. You need safety help. You need a bunch of things to get better for you in such a short period of time. Guys, this is the second year of the Mike Borgonzi era. And you got your quarterback for the next year. Hopefully, he remains that way. I don't know if he's going to make things any better, but we shall see. Robert Saleh, how much of a difference will he make? I think they'll be significantly better from a defensive standpoint compared to where they were the last, 2 years? They've given up a lot of points at times. Guys, defensive line, you don't have an edge presence. You don't. You don't have a guy that you can safely say is great off the edge. Olu Aladejo, I know that he's been dealing with an injury. I had him early on as a potential first-round draft pick this time last year. We've seen some moments where in college he looked really good, but he's been dealing with him being on IR and just hasn't been as dominant as I would have liked to see him coming out of college. But a lot of potential for him, man. A lot of potential. I mean, here was a guy that had 4.5 sacks his last year, had 13.5 total tackles. He was a tackling machine. Jeffrey Simmons is 28 years old. Feels like he's been in the NFL for more than 10 years. He'll be going into year 8 now. Thought he'd been in the league longer. Had a career high last year, 11 sacks and 67 tackles. nearly a career high in total tackles, career high in sacks. I thought Jeff Simmons had a really, really special year. He needs another guy on the edge. He can't be doing it all by himself. That's where Rueben Bain comes in. You set the foundation, go into free agency, and go get offensive linemen. Rueben Bain has got to be your number one target in this NFL draft class. Number 5, New York Giants. Let me just say this. If New York would have lost their last 2 games and if they would have been picking first, we would be having a very different conversation. And we wouldn't be having the talk of Fernando Mendoza being the number 1 quarterback, being the number 1 pick this year. We would either be talking about Francis Mauigoa or we would be talking about Rueben Bain. Or we would be talking about Arvell Reese at that point. How do you build around a guy like Jackson Dart? Well, it starts up front. I would say that you need to go get a receiver, but I think right now with what you have, I think I would be leaving that alone for the time being. I would also tell you with John Harbaugh coming in as your new head coach, he knows that as bad as the offensive coordinator was in Matt Nagy. Guys, I did not like Matt Nagy as the hire. I thought it was bad. I would have gone a completely different direction and ran the hell away from him. But I think you're fine at wide receiver, in my opinion. I think you need an offensive line. Andrew Thomas. I like Andrew Thomas. But he has dealt with injuries. He's had a hamstring injury at the end of last year. He had Lisfranc surgery for his foot in 2023 or 24, but he's under contract right now. He's got a 5-year, $100+ million extension. I'm not saying he's had a bad couple of years. But, guys, you would like to have another offensive lineman alongside of him. So, I think you need to go offensive line at this point in time. Guys, I got to go with Spencer Fano. Spencer Fano is going to be really, really good. You got to build around your offensive line around Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart can't be running for his life like he was last year. And that's why he got sacked 35 times and he only played in 12 games. He's running the football really well. And look, I love his aggressiveness. But, guys, he had 4 concussion tests since the start of preseason. Dude. You got to get him to chill. You've got to. You've got to. Austin Williams says, if you're the Jets, do you take defense or offense first? That's a really good question. I would say that it depends on what you really want to build around. But you wasted a lot. You traded a lot on the defensive side of the ball. You got rid of Sauce Gardner. You got rid of Quinnen Williams. Right now, you have no real franchise player on the defensive side of the ball. I would say I think realistically, they're going to go get defense. That's why I say they're going to get a guy it's either going to be Francis Mauigoa or it's going to be Arvell Reese. That's my opinion. 6th overall pick belongs to the Cleveland Browns. And Shedeur needs somebody to throw the football to. He does. I think receiver is going to be the topic for Cleveland this offseason. I think they're going to hit free agency hard. They're going to try to find somebody with Todd Monken leading the charge. I think he's going to be able to develop Shedeur very well. I mean, you've seen what he's done with Georgia quarterbacks. You've seen what he's done with Lamar the last 2 years. Was an MVP, led him to an MVP season in 2023. Obviously, he's had a lot of criticism lately because of what happened in the AFC title, and then obviously the last 2 seasons he's gotten a lot of criticism. I think especially from Lamar Jackson too. I don't know how their relationship was the last year. I think things got kind of sour from what I have heard around the Baltimore organization. But I think that they get Shedeur Sanders is going to get a guy to throw the football to. They were second to last and second to last in EPA per drop back. So I don't think they go quarterback. Part of that is because they don't have anybody to throw the football to. They don't. That was the biggest problem with Cleveland all of last season, is that there was nobody to throw the football to. I think that you hit with Carson Schweizinger, who was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. My opinion, shouldn't have gotten it, but to each his own. Your roster at the wide receiver position contained the following: Cedric Tillman, Jamari Thrash, Gage Larvadain, Jerry Jeudy, Malachi Corley, and Isaiah Bond. I mean, not really somebody that is sticking out to me. That's just my opinion. Judy's a guy that I think is washed goods at this point, man. I think he's struggled with drop balls. I mean, he's been struggling with drops almost all of his career. So you need to go and get you a receiver. That's where the Biletnikoff Award winner comes into play. That's where Makai Lemon comes in, and I think that's where you go out and you go get a star-studded receiver. I saw somebody said that, it needs to be Carnell Tate. No. I like Carnell Tate, and I have no ill will towards Carnell Tate. Guys, I would much rather go get a guy that was a Biletnikoff Award winner and had somebody like Jaden Mayava throwing the football to him, who kind of has the same intangibles that Shedeur had in college. And this has nothing to do with Carnell Tate being a bad receiver. I think from a skill set standpoint, I think Makai Lemon fits more for a guy like Shedeur Sanders. 7th overall pick, Washington. You need either an edge presence or you need a corner. Jaden Daniels struggled with injury this past year. We all know that. Dan Quinn, though, is going to need to fix their defense. It all dates back to last season, where you struggled in the second half, giving up a lot. You gave up a lot against Philadelphia. That's why you lost. Number one, because you turned the football over. Number two, it's because you couldn't get stops on third down. This year, it got worse. Your sack rate has been really bad. So I don't know what the futures look like for Jonathan Allen. I don't know what it looks like for majority of your defensive line if you're Washington. But guys, David Bailey is the best dang edge rusher in this draft cycle at the moment. One of the best, at least. And Adam Peters came in 2024, completely revamped that roster. highest win percentage since 91. And then they flip it around, go from 12-5 to 5-2. Your star quarterback gets hurt. You have issues with offensive line. You have issues at on defense in the secondary. So one of two things is where I see you going to. Number one, you either go get David Bailey and you improve off the edge, or you go out and you get Caleb Downs, who very likely is going to, who at one point, man, people were talking about him as the best defensive player in this draft cycle. It's not like he's not. It's just that needs are a bit more suited towards the front seven compared to the secondary. But I think that your edge presence is going to be much needed more from Washington. That's where David Bailey comes into play. The New Orleans Saints at pick number 8 are now on the clock. Plenty of needs on both sides of the ball. New Orleans traded away Marshawn Lattimore this past year. And from a secondary standpoint, I think that they had their struggles at times. Saints finished in the middle of the pack in defense. They finished 16th in passing. They were 22nd in net yards gained in per pass attempt. Well, really, when you flip it around, they were 11th in passing allowed. But regardless of that, you did fairly well in the secondary. But, guys, you need another guy that you need to pair alongside some youth in the secondary. New Orleans' biggest ordeal is that your back seven is young. You didn't get anybody in the secondary this past year. Secondary has to be your biggest need because, I mean, Kool-Aid McKinstry had some great moments this past year. Thought he had a really good year. Alontae Taylor was used a lot in throughout on blitz packages. Thought he had a really standout year this year. Got more involved in the secondary and defending. He's going to be more of your safety. Kool-Aid McKinstry, great year this year. 17 pass breakups and 3 interceptions. Could have been named an All-Pro. How about you go get another guy to surround him? Either that or you get another guy in the secondary with Alontae Taylor and you put Caleb Downs in there. Dude, if New Orleans is able to get Caleb Downs, dude, it is going to be a massive steal in this draft. In the entire first round, if Caleb Downs falls to 8 in New Orleans, man, it is a crime. The Kansas City Chiefs, they need help at running back. The first time, and I would have never expected they'd have a top 10 pick going into this season. I don't think anybody did, to be quite frank with you. Because this is the Chiefs. This is Andy Reid and company. But they still got a lot to address. First of all, it starts with Travis Kelce. What does his future look like? They're not going to get a tight end in the top 10. They're not going to go out and get Kenyon Sadiq. Guess who's on the board? You don't have a running back to throw the football to. You don't have a running back to utilize. Xavier McKinney and shoot. Anyways. But where am I trying to get at with this? It's amazing that you had Clint Kubiak too in 2024. It's what's crazier to me, man. That's insane. Is that last year you dealt with a lot of injuries. And it didn't help either that Patrick Mahomes was on IR near the end of the season. Your running back room with guys like Isaiah Pacheco, your McKinnon who's gone. Kareem Hunt just ain't the same back that he once was, man. He ain't. You know, he's a guy that's going to be getting yourself 3.5 yards a carry and not really going to do anything else other than that. 2018, he pretty much ruined his career. And sorry. Isaiah Pacheco, yeah, I don't. He's not really a feature back anymore, man. 23, he had a great year. 25, though, just could not see much of the field, and he just didn't have that same burst. I mean, they get off to a 6-5 start, and then you absolutely collapse, dude. Last 6 games, you collapse. You get blown out by Tennessee, and you get blown out by Vegas. That's how bad you were at the end of the season. It was funny, but at the same time, it was kind of sad. You need a running back. Jeremiah Love is the best back that you're going to get. And he is basically Isaiah Pacheco. He is almost Kareem Hunt redefined. Except he's a bit taller and he's got more strength and power. Not as fast as Kareem Hunt, but still carries that nasty tenacity at running back. The number 10 overall pick belongs to Cincinnati. I could go either or with this one. Offensive line because Joe Burrow's getting sacked like hell, or interior defensive line, which is something that Cincinnati has struggled to find for the last several years. You got to go with Caleb Banks on this one. He's the best interior defensive lineman in this draft class, along with him and Caden McDonald. He's the biggest freak in this NFL draft class, in my opinion. You can put him anywhere on the field. You can put him in a 3, a 1, or a 5 tech, and he will dominate every single time he gets off the football. Saw it at Senior Bowl with my own eyes. I can promise you he's going to fit in very well with the Cincinnati Bengals front 4. Number 11, Miami needs corner help. You're not going to go get a quarterback, by the way. You can forget it. Tua's done. You have a brand new head coach, hopefully. Hopefully that you can surround your future franchise quarterback, whoever it is. I don't know what Jeff Hafley's going to do. One of very, very quickly becoming a rising star in the NFL. What will John Eric Sullivan decide to do ever since he followed Jeff Hafley? I think you're going to stick with the current roster at quarterback, but DB is going to be interesting. Minkah Fitzpatrick, how much longer will he be a Miami Dolphin? Back in Miami for the first time since 25. And I was quite surprised that he was back in Miami. But you need another corner. Jalen Ramsey's gone. So, Ramsey, who's now with Pittsburgh, by the way. And you had to bite the bullet for that one, man. When you traded him away, you knew what was going to happen. Your back 7 took a beating. Your secondary took a beating. Jermon McCoy, I thought, was the one that stood out the most to me throughout the Senior Bowl. You have got to hit on DB. I think that should be one of your biggest concerns this upcoming season. The number 12, the Dallas Cowboys, coming off of the worst defense in all of the NFL this past year. Who did they go out and get in the offseason at their defensive coordinator position? Obviously, Bryden Schottenheimer now has a target on his damn back. You went and got Christian Parker, passing game coordinator and DB's coach with the Philadelphia Eagles. What does he do? You go out and you go get his position. You go get Mansour Delane. Mansour Delane has got to be your primary fixture for your Cowboys secondary. That was one of the worst pass defenses in all of the NFL this past year. You cannot have another year where you give up 300 yards per game through the air. Mansour Delane is going to change that. Excellent over the top in the secondary. Very good cover or safety. Much better than what people expect. He doesn't get beat over the top very easily. Number 13, going to LA. Man, this has got to be like a dream for LA to have a pick in the top 15. You were one win away from being in a Super Bowl. You probably would have won the Super Bowl if you'd have been able to finally put it together. The biggest thing that LA was struggling with was turnovers. Part of it is because of offensive line issues. Caden Proctor is very, very intriguing to me. Caden Proctor is a guy that I think you went out and go out and get. Quentin Lake has just signed an extension, but obviously you still need help in the secondary. Maybe you go get Caden McDonald. Maybe you go get another receiver. Jordan Tyson is on the board. Maybe you go get Colton Hood, another guy that I thought stood out at the Senior Bowl. But I think you stick with offensive line. I think you get younger there, and I think you get guys that you can plug and play for about 2 to 3 years while they're under contract. I think it's going to be a really solid fixture for you. Couple more, and then we got to call it a night for today. We'll finish the next 16 on our next episode of the Southern Sports Scene. Number 14 pick for Baltimore. Dude, it is hard for me to not say about the type of impact that Caden McDonald will bring for this Ohio State or for this Baltimore interior. Eric DeCosta has to find a way to improve the fourth lowest quarterback pressure rate and the third fewest sacks that this Baltimore Ravens defense put up last year. That is unacceptable for a Baltimore defense that has so much talent. You had a lot of veterans the last 2 years that are now gone. You need to go find a way to get pressure, and you need to go find a way to go get defensive linemen. It will either be Caden McDonald or it will be Keldrick Falk. I think that you take the chance and you go get an interior guy that's really effective in the middle, and I think you go get Caden McDonald. Number 15 overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to have to face some free agency moves. Levante David is on free agency. Long-time Buccaneer. And how seriously will they be in 2026? That is the question that I think a lot of people are going to have to ask themselves. To be honest, there's a lot of people that's been talking about Cassius Howell. Guys, I think I like Cassius Howell, but you need a guy with a higher motor than Cassius Howell. You need a complete edge rusher. That's what Keldrick Falk will bring. He is significantly better in the run game, And I think compared to Cassius Howell's low center of gravity, it is significantly better compared to what Cassius Howell was. I'm not saying that I don't like Cassius Howell. I think he's an effective safety or an effective edge rusher. I just think Keldrick Falk has more of an upside to him compared to that. Last one for the night. Let's go with Jordan Tyson. You need a receiver to throw the football to, man. New York is about to get a really good receiver. If it's not Jordan Tyson, it may end up being a guy like Carnell Tate. But man, wide receiver has got to be a target for you in 2026. And the reason why I say that you need to go get a wide receiver is because are you really going to back off, lay your future on guys like A.D. Mitchell and a guy like John Mechie, who really didn't produce a lot this past year? You don't have a number one receiver right now. Jordan Tyson, you put him into that offense, I think he'll be your number one receiver in 2026 and beyond when you go get an actual quarterback in 2027. Jordan Tyson is going to be an electric wide receiver for the Jets. That's where I have it, and that's where I'm going to leave it off for tonight. Again, guys, thank you so much for hopping on in to the Southern sports scene. You guys have been absolutely awesome. You guys have always shown support for us. We appreciate you guys always tuning in every single day, every time we go live. Make sure you all do us a favor again. Hit the like, share, and subscribe down below. Turn on the bell so that you don't miss another video. Got to run. See you guys very, very soon. Peace, and y'all have a great rest